Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Megan Fay, and we're going to be paint pouring to spring into paint pouring. We're going to celebrate spring by using lots of different shapes. There are currently all sorts of fun unfinished wood surfaces at Michael's, including some wooden eggs, some bunnies. There are always an assortment of letters, there's coasters, there's canvas. So I don't know what surfaces you're going to use today, but today, I'm definitely going to paint pour this bunny, and I'm also going to paint pour some eggs, and we'll see what else we have time for. So like we said before, I do have a couple of classes coming up next week. I don't know if you know, or I don't know if you celebrate, but next week on March 14th is Pi Day, which as a former math teacher is one of my favorite days to use math and art together. So this is an example of a dot mandala that we're going to paint. But we're going to paint a smaller version onto little magnets and little smaller size 2x2 or 3x3 canvases to turn them into cool refrigerator magnets. So that class is next week on Thursday. And I'll also be teaching a class using a Cricut machine showing how to do glass etching. So how to make some really elegant wine glasses or gifts to give people using a chemical that you apply and then a stencil technique in order to etch into glass. So there's always something new and exciting happening on Thursdays and Fridays. You're welcome to join me. And today is our main focus of paint pouring. So we're going to switch over and I'm going to show you some of the things that I have ready. And I think the biggest thing for paint pouring is that you're definitely going to need to contain your mess as best you can. So paint pouring is a messy craft. It is a messy art. Elsie, did we switch cameras? Yep, cool. So I have a tray. So this is like one of those plastic paper trays. I've also used like a cardboard box. You can just take something that has a lip on it and either line it with paper or line it with a plastic bag, a garbage bag, anything like that to kind of keep your mess contained. And then you're going to want some paint. So there's lots of different brands and lots of different types. The Artist Loft brand is already ready mixed pouring paint. So this is one that I obviously use a lot. You can tell all of my paints have all kinds of paint all over them because they are well loved and well used. But Michael's also has a Craft Smart paint pouring that often comes in these little packs. So for different holidays and different things, they have an assortment of colors that come out in these Craft Smart containers with little smaller size so you can sample lots of colors. But there are other brands that make a lot of these different paints. So another good brand is this Plaid already pre-mixed paint that's Drizzle. And they have lots of colors and lots of different things to add to your paint pouring fun. So we're going to be using already mixed paints, and then we're going to take unfinished surfaces and we're going to go from there. So once I have a place to pour into that feels pretty safe and pretty able to be contained, I sometimes like to take a little piece of cardstock or paper and roll it up. And I make these little loops in order to take my wooden surface and kind of raise it a bit. Yeah, Deco Art makes great pre-mixed paint pours too. So feel free to ask me questions in the chat and add things too. So thank you for participating. So what I like to do is I like to start with kind of a base layer. So you can either pre-paint this and do like a prime, or you can just take any sort of craft paint, or you can take one of the colors of your pre-mixed and just kind of do a once over of one specific color and really go for it. I'm going to put on some gloves or else I will make a giant mess. And I think I saw another question ask about acrylic paint. Yes. So you can use acrylic paint with this project, but you're going to need something called a pouring medium. And a pouring medium is just what it sounds like. It creates a medium that changes what you already have into something that's able to be poured. So it adds that flow. So I'm wearing some gloves because I love to get messy. And one of my favorite things about paint pouring is really just letting it go and kind of relaxing into a process and seeing what happens. So it can be really relaxing to watch, even if you're not trying it yourself. So I'm really just globbing a lot of paint on here. And I will kind of tilt my wooden surface in lots of different directions to let that paint get some movement and end up covering the entire base. And I'll even probably go for these sides. Yeah, sometimes if you need a nice relaxing video or one of those very satisfying videos, a lot of times these paint pouring ones can just be really satisfying to watch how the paint decides to move. Just add some meditative music in the background and you've got a really nice relaxation technique. And because this is my base, I'm going to be adding layers of colors to this. So if I don't cover the entire thing, that's okay because I am going to keep adding more paint. Now, one of the reasons why you can make your own paints is because it doesn't actually take a lot of paint in order to create these fluid movements. It takes a lot of medium. So you can use just a little dab of your own paint and then use this medium in order to create a lot of paint that's able to cover large surfaces and do a lot of work for you. So there are also specific techniques for paint pouring, and I'm going to show you one of them right now. So one of them is called puddling. And the way to do a puddling technique is what it sounds like. You're going to make puddles of different color, but I'm going to keep putting a puddle inside of a puddle inside of a puddle and get those to spread out like rings. Think about throwing a pebble into the water and seeing what happens. So I'm going to start puddling with some different colors. So I have like a rose color to go with this gold. And I'm going to make some puddles of this rose in a couple of different areas. And then I might take another color. And make a puddle inside of that. So now I have like a silver, a gold, and a rose going on. And I'm creating these various puddles. And I can go back and forth with the colors and allow each of these puddles to keep spreading. And maybe I start a new puddle that has silver and then pink. And I'm puddling inside of each of those. And then I have plenty more paint to work with now that I'm going to spread these petals out. So here we go. I'm going to start tilting. Ooh, that's cool already. So you're tilting and you're kind of deciding as you go what you like and what you want more of. So I really like what's going on here and I want it to spread over here. So I'm going to tilt it in another direction to spread more of that onto this side. And I really think when it comes to colors and paint pouring, I recommend 3 to 5 and probably not many more than 5 unless you have a lot of practice, because 3 can usually give you something really cool and interesting without getting too complicated or too muddy. Now, the difference between these pour paints I'm using today and just any random craft paint is that these are chemically mixed on purpose to stay separate. Instead of the pink and the silver coming together to mush together to change those colors, you actually leave the pink and leave the silver. So they're not mixing, and they're chemically put that way to keep their own separate colors. If you try really hard and stir them a lot, you can get them to mix together, but their purpose is to stay separate, to be able to give you some different colors without it just always turning brown. So if you mix all your colors together, you're usually going to get a brown. And I'm just messing with these puddles until I can find something that I think I enjoy or that I like. And I kind of like how this gold is streaking down through the middle, almost giving it like that bunny nose. And obviously that wasn't even intended, but it just kind of happens, which is great about paint pouring, that just all these happy surprises happen all the time. And I like to try and get around the edge and get as much of this covered as I can. And if you do not like what you have, what's great about painting is that you can paint over top and you can keep going until you do find something that you like. So once I've created something that I like, I think I'm going to give it another tilt or two. Spread that silver a little bit over here. I sometimes take my finger and wipe along the side just to make sure that it's covering all of that space along the side. And then I have my beautiful paint pour bunny. So I like to take things that I'm done with and put them onto maybe a paper plate. And you might want to use these rings to raise them, because when this dries, it will take about 24 hours to dry completely. And you'll want to raise it from whatever surface it's drying onto, maybe using these rings or elevating it somehow, so that it has a chance to keep dripping if it needs to keep dripping. And then when it dries, you don't want it to attach to the surface that it's drying on. So if I have something like these rings, it'll be a lot easier for me to peel off when I'm ready for it in the future. And then once you have something that you've completed, I have this letter K that I was able to paint pour before. So I did a lot of streaking and a lot of just letting it drip in one direction to kind of give it that vertical style. But I did go ahead and do both sides of this. There's sometimes when I only do one side, and if you decide to only do one side, a great recommendation is on the other side to cut a piece of felt and then glue using a craft glue a piece of felt to the bottom, and then this can make a really nice coaster. So we sell lots of these blank surfaces that are coasters. You can get them in black, you can get them in ceramic, you can get them in wood, but we sell lots of really cool surfaces that will give you a really nice coaster. And again, what's nice about the paint pour paints is that they're chemically created in order to give you a really nice glossy finish. And so it's just a real nice, solid, glossy finish. You don't have to add an extra layer of any kind of sealant, but if you want to, you can. And then, like I said, I would go ahead and cut a piece of felt and put it on the back just to protect any surface and to kind of clean up any mess, because paint pour is messy at the end of the day. So I think we should try another one, and we're going to have a fun adventure with Easter eggs next. So I am going to attempt to dye this Easter egg. And dyeing a wooden Easter egg is a lot different than dyeing a normal egg, because there's not as much dipping. There's just more pouring involved. So we're going to try this. I'm going to use some different colors. And we sell lots of different sizes of these wooden eggs. So you can pick out whatever you choose. And it's just nice to have a little decor that you can continue to use from year to year, because they're not real eggs. They're wood, and you can keep going with them. So I'm going to try something a little brighter this time. And I'm going to go for a really bright base coat of yellow. So I'm just starting, and I'm really going to dig in, and I'm going to use my fingers, gloved fingers, to spread this first layer of this yellow paint all over. And I'm providing some space for the paint to move by already doing this first layer. Whereas if I went straight into the wood, some of it would absorb into the wood and it might not flow in the way that I wanted it to flow. So here's a bright yellow for us. And then I'm going to go ahead and take an orange and possibly a red and see what happens. So I'm trying a similar puddling technique, but obviously on a very different surface. And there's another technique often used in paint pouring called a Dutch pour. And what a Dutch pour is using air in order to move the colors of paint around. So I'm going to use a combination of this puddling technique by creating these puddles, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of the Dutch pour using a straw and kind of blowing this paint around. Well, I have a straw that is dedicated to paint pouring. As you can tell, I would never use this in real life because it has paint all over it, but it is dedicated to my paint pouring. So I'm going to blow some air on this and see what happens. So I like on this side, you can kind of see what the air is doing and spreading it really organically and kind of making like waves of an ocean. Also picking up some of that yellow in the background and spreading the yellow along with it also. I do like that yellow, so I'm going to add a little bit of puddling of the yellow. Oops. That has some of that yellow on the top layer to play with too. There we go. So I'm puddling some yellow, some orange, and some red. And I'm going to use some more air to move that around. And this is giving me almost like a tie-dye situation down here, which I'm really liking too. So I'm going to kind of move this around and examine what I have so far. And I love all the splashing. I definitely want to take some attention on this side. So I'm going to put it onto my ring. And I'm going to add some puddles of color here. I will come back and show you the back of my bunny in a little bit when I'm done with this particular egg. But what I was recommending is that if you have a messy surface on the back of your bunny, I highly recommend after letting it dry to attach some felt and clean up the back by just adding a layer of felt or even a piece of cardstock or something like that to give it a nice finish on the back, especially if you're going to give it to someone else. They don't need to see all of the paint pour secrets that you have baked inside. So I'm adding some more puddles on this side of my egg. And I'm going to blow some of this around. And I'm purposely right now trying to spread some of this yellow into the red. But one of the other fun things about paint pouring is it's not always in your control. So it's one of those art forms that you really have to let go and let it do the work. And things are constantly changing. So I like on this particular egg that it has some of those puddles that are creating what we call in paint pouring some cells. So cells are where some of the chemicals break up and leave some space with air pockets in order to create some new designs. So you can keep going with this. You can also use a hair dryer. If you're going to use a hair dryer rather than something like a straw, I recommend putting up some more plastic wrap around your area because it will blow in different directions and it will cause some, it can be very messy. So I just want you to get a really good look at some of this paint pour because there are some really cool designs that are showing up in this egg. And we can leave it to dry and it will continue to drip in some different ways. Because this is something that I covered 360 degrees around as opposed to the bunny that had a back to it. So with this one, when it's drying, after about an hour, I would take it off the ring that I have it elevated on, and I would probably rotate it just so that it doesn't leave a ring where the ring is. Or you might want to stand up your egg in a different direction to let it dry, just to make sure that, again, how it's drying is not going to leave a space that's unpainted. So a question about a way to keep the back the pores off of the back? Great question. Yeah, so there is a way to keep the pores off the back, and I can show you that in one of our next ones if we want. So if you have something like a coaster or a picture frame or something that you don't necessarily want the back to get to be a mess, I highly recommend masking tape. And we are going to just take a moment with the masking tape and go ahead and cover that back. And we'll leave that masking tape on the entire time that it's drying. And we won't take the masking tape off until it's dry to reveal a clean surface underneath. So I'm taking strips of masking tape and I'm covering the bottom. And again, if you have something like an egg and you want to make a harsh line, so if you want to make a line in it, you can use masking tape again to create that strong line that's not going to have paint seep through it. And then you can use that to create several different lines. And you can, let it dry, make another line, let it dry, make another line, or you can just make a couple lines. So I think what I'm going to do right now, you can cut this tape down. I think I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is because when I peel it off, I'm going to peel off the extra paint and I'm going to peel off in order to see the back of it and make sure that the back is totally clear. If you don't want to mess with the paint on the side and you think that you can peel this off with your fingernails, then you can go ahead and cut it down. So maybe even I try this as an experiment for myself and I do one side where I cut it all the way down and one side where I leave these. And that's going to protect that back. And I think actually I'm going to go for it with these stripes I was talking about too. And while I have my masking tape out, I'm going to go ahead and make a stripe on this coaster and kind of leave a bottom portion of it to be a wooden surface. And what I'm thinking is that I also enjoy wood burning. So what I'm thinking about while I'm making this right now is if I leave this surface unfinished wood, after I have the paint pour up here, I could go in and use a wood burning tool and create somebody's name and maybe have like a nameplate or something like that for any kind of occasion or a place setting. So I'm going to move the egg and you can tell that it's still doing its thing and looking really cool. I am going to go ahead and move this egg onto a drying portion of my table. And then I'm going to show you this next poster I'm working on. Let's see what I can do. I'm going to keep the ring so that it stays elevated. And then I'm going to take this plastic bowl or this styrofoam bowl and put it onto my drying table. Yeah, if you are following along with us and making anything, I'd love to see what you're making. So please go ahead and share that at Learn with Michaels or hashtag Learn with Michaels to let us know what you're up to. All right, this is going to be my final paint pour, and I'm going to use a technique called flip cup for this one. So flip cup is going to be us taking colors and putting them into something like a paper cup or a plastic cup. And we're going to layer a whole bunch of colors into this cup. And then we are literally going to flip the cup and release it and let all of the puddling and pooling happen and see what happens with our technique and with our new design. So I'm going to pick some new colors again. And I tend to lean towards blues. I love blues. So right now I have some Deco Art fluid ready to pour. I've been using lots of different brands and lots of different kinds to show you that all of these are really great. So I'm going to do kind of a base layer again, and the masking tape is going to keep that space nice and clean for me so that I can go back later and do some wood burning. Giving myself a nice base coat of blue to play with. And then I'm going to see what other colors I decide to go with on this one. And when I let these finish and dry for a little bit, I'm going to post these on my Instagram, which is 4M Coleman, if you want to come back and see some of these finished results. You can also see some from a Valentine's class I taught earlier that have some really cool different heart shapes that we were paint pouring onto the other day. So here I go, spreading this a little bit more with my fingers, giving us a nice surface. And this time we're doing something called flip cup. So I'm going to pour some different colors into the same cup. And I have some of that sky blue I started with, some like magenta, and some off-white. And I'm going to take turns putting different amounts into this flip cup. And I did stick again with about 3 colors, just so that it has room to play around and not become too complicated. There we go. And this is my favorite part of flip cup. So I'm going to flip this over. And I would say that a complete dry for any of these projects would be about 24 hours. So it's going to be tacky to the touch if you touch it before then, and you could leave a fingerprint or a mark or something like that. So be careful not to touch it. I am flipping, see this cup full of all these different colors? Flipping this cup onto the surface. Uh-oh. And then I am going to do a count back, and we are going to release it and see what happens. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ooh. And I love just watching this do its thing. And I can help it along by tilting my, I know, right? I love it already. So cool. That little bit of white, that magenta, and the blue looking together. And I can just kind of let some of this excess paint drip into my, ooh, I love how it has this like random line in it. And I really like that. I'm going to stretch it over a little bit to this side too. Maybe up towards the corner. I like that this corner has the blue, so I'm going to kind of tilt it down to pull some of this blue. So there's a question in the chat that says, I'm thinking about a vase and rotating a vase to make the least messy object for paint pouring. Yeah, I think that that could actually be it, where you rotate, kind of like how they do with the tumblers. I really like these colors. I love how it's kind of cloudy. And I really like this like random line down here. So how much paint on average does it take with a flip cup? Well, you saw that this is, I think that this is about 3 by 3. And I probably filled less than halfway up the cup. So if you take a larger canvas, it's obviously like several of these cups to fill the entire surface. But you can do it in lots of different ways. You can save some paint by doing a base layer of craft paint rather than a base layer of the fluid paint. So that's one way to kind of save on some paint if you want to. But yeah, I love this. I'm just going to let it kind of sit. And then what's going to be really cool is that sharp line I'm going to have when I pull that tape up after it dries. So if you have any other questions about what we've done today, we have our bunny, we have our Easter egg, and we have a coaster. And I can't wait to see what these turn into and how they finish up. And if you've made anything, please share them with us. I'd love to see them. And I hope that you had a great time and you come back again sometime. Thanks for coming.